Hi, everybody. I'm Stephanie Haney here with WKYC at the Forbes Under 30 Summit here at the Cleveland Public Auditorium. We've got Renee Montgomery with us, who is one of the owners of the Atlanta Dream, former WNBA player. Renee, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm in Cleveland, the home of Barbara Turner, a great basketball player that went to UConn, my teammate.
Oh, right on. And did you play together on the Minnesota Lynx?
No, we played together at UConn, and now she's actually an assistant coach on my team for the Atlanta Dream, so full circle moment, but she is a Cleveland native.
Shout out. We love that. We love the NEO connection. Are you having a good time while you're here in town?
I am. I told them it went by fast, but the energy was crazy, and I always love events where people, gather and like-mindedness, and basically, I think we just plotted on how to take over the world in a good way. So
Yes.
That was dope.
That's what we love to hear, especially when we're talking about female entrepreneurship and women in the space, becoming the first WNBA player to become an owner on a team. That's an incredible accomplishment. How did you even sort of set that trajectory going? Was that something that was on your mind when you were playing?
It was not really, on my mind, and I was the first owner and executive, and it wasn't on my mind at all, because when you're an athlete, it's like every year all we're focused on is just winning a championship, and so that was only my thought process. But when I opted out in 2020, your mindset, I think everybody's mindset changed in 2020, honestly. But for me, it's more about ownership. For me, it's how can we do the things that I wish we had as a player now as an owner? So that's kind of my whole thought process when it comes to team ownership. How can we turn this thing up?
Mm-hmm. What an incredible perspective to have, for your staff, for your players, for everyone involved in that. You were also the first female to have a team to be part owner in the FCF Indoor Football League. What was that experience like?
Well, first of all, my dad played football. Shout out to my Diddy. Hi, Diddy. Hi, Snook and Diddy, by the way, because I know they'll see this. But it's different. It's different when you never played the sport. So it's I didn't play football, but I love it. I watched my Diddy play. I watched football with him. So to be able to have one of those positions, and it was all right, so we're here now. And that was before the Dream. So that was really my first time sitting in an ownership position. Marshawn Lynch was one of the owners as well. So that wasn't a bad gig to be able to work with him. But just, being able to kind of see how things work from the other side, I would say that's the biggest thing that I've gotten to see with sports ownership.
And being a woman in these male-dominated fields, that has to be a whole nother thing on its own. So how have you been able to excel in these spaces that are really so male-dominated?
I just try to do, everybody has something that they're good at. So I just try to stick. I don't try to copy, if you go and try to be one of the boys or one of the guys, it's you're not one of the guys. So I try to be me everywhere I go. And even in sports ownership, it's a male dominated field. If you look in broadcasting, it's a male dominated field. If you look at sports, women get less than 10% of media coverage. So there's a whole 90% of the pie that's going to men's sports. So I feel like my whole life has prepared me to be able to handle being in these spaces and navigating these spaces, but I also am excited because I see change. I've been in it since the WNBA started. I remember it's dramatically different.
Well, I want to ask you about that when you got into WNBA ownership. When you stepped into that space, was there any challenge that was particularly surprising to you or something that caught you off guard that was something you had to figure out how to tackle?
I would just say, as a player, you always you blame the team for everything. You're man, why they didn't do this for us, or why didn't they do that? And now on the other side of it, it's oh, I see why we're not allowed to do this, or oh, we can't do that. So I came in thinking there's so many things we needed to change, and that's the beautiful thing about having like-minded owners as well. In the sense of Suzanne and Larry G, there's three of us that are the owners of the Atlanta Dream, and we all think the same way. So we all want to elevate the players' lifestyle. We all want to elevate the team. We all want to support the community. But sometimes things, you have to follow the rules of the league, and it takes time. And I came in ready to just change everything right away, let's go. But it's a process, and so it's been a beautiful thing, though, to see the growth.
I want to ask you a little bit more about where we have room to improve before we get to that growth, because I'm very interested in that, want to hear about too. But when you see women in the business world, in these spaces, where do you think we do have the most room to improve?
I would just say, we're just not bold enough. A woman will not ask for a promotion or not ask for a raise because we'll look at all the reasons why we're not qualified. But you might have a guy that's severely underqualified, and he gonna put his name in the cap. He gonna be listen, I'm gonna just try it and see. I think we need to just be a little bit more bold. And it's we always are so precautious, and we want to make sure that we're supposed to be ready for this job, or we have don't do Our counterparts are not doing that. They are boldly taking seats that they may not even be prepared to take, but they tried to get it and they got it, and so now they're there. We got to start doing that as well.
There's a lot of learning on the job happening for a lot of people. That is for sure. That is for sure. Okay, now let's talk about some of the growth that you've seen. You've been in these places. You've seen it firsthand. Where are we doing the things right that we need to be doing to empower more women in the business space?
Amplifying. I think, like, let's use women's sports as a perfect example. Women's sports right now, we saw the NCAA Women's Final Four do similar numbers to the men. That's new. We saw now this WNBA season had the highest viewership. That's new. You know, like, everything now is the highest. Like, every time we have a new game, oh, this is the new highest viewership. So what I see now is it's trending the right way. We have the woman take the highest position she's ever taken at vice president. There's a lot of highest happening. There's a lot of first happening. So let's get all that out the way then. So then now let's bust the door wide open so we don't need no more first. I think that's what we're starting to see right now that's exciting. We see a lot of first, which means that there's going to be some seconds, some thirds, some fourths, and that's what's the exciting part about it.
Absolutely. Let's get that ball rolling, and let's get a WNBA team here in Cleveland.
Cleveland Rockers used to be here. So the Cleveland Rockers used to be here. And I don't know if you know, but the WNBA just announced that the Golden State Warriors are now going to have a WNBA team in the Bay Area. There's another team that's going to be announced soon. So the growth is happening. And yes, Cleveland Rockers, y'all used to have a squad here.
Mm-hmm. We need to bring it back. We need to bring it back, I'm saying. Renee, thank you so much for spending time with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This is dope.
Thanks, everybody.